What happens when a man gives his last savings to help his family, only for them to steal everything behind his back? What unfolded after that family dinner changed everything in the most unexpected way. You know, there's a moment when you think, okay, now they'll definitely notice that you're not just an extra at the table, that you're not just a piece of furniture in the corner, that you're not just that uncle who's always quiet and helps with the dishes. It was with such naive optimism that I poured my last $3,000 I could have spent on myself into my nephew's education. The boy wanted to be a designer. Do I object? Of course not. A boy's dreams are sacred. I didn't have them myself when I was young. I said to myself, Caleb, this is the right thing to do. This is what family does. And here I am, 23 years of hauling beams and concrete on a construction site, breaking my knee so that stairs are now a mini expedition, moving money and feeling, a little bit needed. A week later, I get an invitation. Family reunion at Sheila's. There'll be food, music, pool. I'm thinking, yeah, now they're gonna say, Caleb, we're proud of you. Thank you for your support. Yeah, well, keep your pocket wide open. I got there dressed in my best. Not in a suit, of course. It's not a banquet. But clean, neat. I brought my homemade peach pie. He baked it himself, by the way. First thing I heard was, "Oh, Caleb, you're here too? We thought you couldn't make it because of your knee." Huh, that's nice. If I didn't have a sense of humor, I would have sent someone away a long time ago. But I just nodded. And then the fun began. Turns out, all the bedrooms were already taken. "You can in the trailer, in the back," Sheila says, like she's doing me a favor. I could do it in the trunk. I'm used to it. Only I didn't realize this trailer wasn't even hooked up to electricity. But I said thank you and smiled. And something inside me was starting to scratch like a knife in an empty pocket. So I went out to the terrace with my pie. And there they all were, glittering, laughing, pouring margaritas, like they're in some sitcom. I walked over, put the pie on the table, and, silence. 5 seconds of dead silence. Like an uninvited guest had shown up. Like I was an ex-con who'd just escaped from a ship. And then came the fake, "Oh, what's up, Caleb?" And "You look good, considering, well, that thing." The thing? You mean my injury? Or the fact that I'm alone? Or about the fact that you ignored me for years while I dragged my ass around construction sites, helping you with repairs, with debt, with cars? But I'm not talking again. Because I was raised to be humble. Too modest, to be honest. This evening, when the family presentation started, I thought, this is it. They'd show pictures of us, reminisce about how I drove Sheila to work, how I mended the floor at Aunt Martha's house, how I single-handedly took out the whole attic at Uncle Paul's. You know what I saw? Nothing. I wasn't there. Not one picture. Not a single mention. I wasn't even in the credits. It's like I'm just a black ghost that makes coffee and disappears. I went out under the pretense of calling a friend. I actually got in the car, closed the door, and just stared into the darkness. I didn't cry. I'm a grown man. But I was seething inside. Not anger, but frustration. The kind that seeps into your bones. The next morning, I got up first thing. Again. Because who else was going to make everyone breakfast? Sheila came down in her robe, walked into the kitchen, and saw me cutting fruit. And instead of saying thank you, she mumbled something and called someone. A minute later, I hear her talking. Well, Caleb's like always, running around like he's being ordered around. He's always been a little weird, too quiet, too lonely, but helpful, useful, like I was a toaster. After breakfast, there was a Family contest. Aunt Martha gave gift cards to anyone who answered the family history questions correctly. Interestingly enough, I knew the answers to most of those questions because I had read my grandmother's letters. I lived with my grandfather when he was sick, but I wasn't allowed to participate. Sheila said, "You didn't sign up, and we were doing the sign-ups in the chat room." What chat room? Oh, the one I was removed from 2 years ago by mistake. Ha ha. When they started handing out the $500 cards to each contestant, I just sat on the side and chewed on a piece of watermelon. I don't care. I'm not used to being the background. But then Steve, my brother, if you can call him that, came up to me. "Well, you're not really with us anyway, Caleb. It's not like we're judging you. We just need to keep in touch. You seem kind of distant." "Yeah? Distant? I sent your son tuition money. I fed you when you were out of work, drinking, and not getting off the couch. But I'm not talking again." And then evening came, and I decided it was time to check the bill. Not because I was greedy, I just wanted to make sure that the transfers had gone through and that everything was okay with the bank. I opened the app and almost dropped my phone. Yesterday, $3,900. Now, $147.83. Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe someone punched it in the wrong place. I opened the transaction list. $1,500. Shellmart Holdings, LLC, $900. Shellmart Holdings, LLC, $1,300. Shellmart Holdings, LLC. And you know what I saw in Sheila's hands when she came out with a glass of wine and sat down next to me? A map, with my name on it, and a smile. The one like the fox that stole the chicken but pretended he was just walking by. I didn't say a word. I just got up, walked to the car. I sat down. I didn't say a word. What happened next changed everything. You don't want to miss how it unfolded. I didn't sleep that night. You ever sit in your own car, outside your own blood's house, wondering when exactly they decided you were just a wallet with legs? That's where I was. Driver's seat reclined back, hands on the steering wheel like I was praying. Except I wasn't praying. I was thinking. And when I think too long, somebody's about to get their feelings rearranged. You know what's funny? I never even got mad right away. Nope. I sat there trying to make sense of it. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe they thought I'd loaned them the money. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. But then, my gut said something different. My gut said, "You already know, brother. They've been counting you out for years. Now they just figured you wouldn't notice." And you know what? That stung more than losing the money. Morning came, birds chirping like they got no idea what kind of circus just rolled through the family. I walked into that house like nothing happened. Not a word, not a blink. Fixed myself a cup of coffee and sat on the deck like I owned the place. Because let me tell you something. When folks rob you and smile about it, the worst thing you can do is give 'em the show they're hoping for. I was done playing quiet. Shayla walked out in her satin robe, sunglasses on like she was some kind of Hollywood producer, looked at me over her coffee and said, "You sleep okay in the trailer?" I sipped slow, like a baby who just found out somebody been using his debit card. She froze mid-sip. Now, I wasn't accusing, not directly. That wasn't my style, not yet. I wanted to see her squirm first, let her words trip over each other like shoes on an icy sidewalk. "Oh? Something wrong with your card?" That's when I locked eyes. 3 large disappeared last night. Funny timing, huh? She looked off into the distance like I'd just started talking quantum physics. "You sure? I mean, maybe you ordered something and forgot? You ever see somebody pretend to be clueless and overdo it so bad it becomes insulting? That was her, acting like I'm some old man who accidentally bought a jet ski at midnight. Yeah, maybe, I said. Guess I'll have to check with the bank. They're real interested in fraudulent transfers these days. Her smile twitched, but I didn't press. Not yet. I needed more. Receipts. Truth. Because one thing I've learned, when folks do dirt together, it's never just one pair of hands in the mud. And if she did this, somebody else was involved. And I was about to find out who. By noon, everyone was out by the pool, drinking like the world didn't have consequences. Kids running around, old uncles belly up in lawn chairs, folks taking selfies like it was a music video. I played my part. Friendly, easygoing, that quiet storm, waiting. And then I noticed Sly, my cousin. Sly, who always had that get-rich-somehow energy. He once tried to sell me cologne out the trunk of his car, swore it was designer. It smelled like Windex and regrets. He was talking to Shayla, looking real nervous, real shady. So I did what any sensible person would do. I eavesdropped, walked by real slow like I was checking the food table. She said he's looking into it, Sly whispered. Shayla rolled her eyes. Then we need to move quick before he calls someone. Calls someone? Move quick? Oh, now it was a whole operation. I ducked back inside, phone already out. Started snapping pictures. Her wallet, with my card in it. The guest list she printed that had my name written in faded ink like I was an afterthought. Even found a receipt in the trash. My card was used to pay for the catering. The same food I'd been eating, thinking it was a treat. I stared at that receipt so long I almost forgot where I was. They fed me with my own money. Smiled in my face while doing it. That, right there? That did something to me. The next part? I wish I could say it was clean and classy. But no. This was real. This was grown man pain. That night, Shayla made some big toast before dinner, talking about how good it is to have everyone together, how family is everything, how we support each other no matter what. I nearly choked on my water. And when she said, "Let's raise a glass to those who always give without expecting anything in return," her eyes locked on me. And that's when I knew she wasn't ashamed. She was proud. She thought I was so soft, so invisible, she could rob me and still act like she's queen of the backyard. So I clapped, loud, slow. Everyone turned. Beautiful speech, sis. Really, touching. Y'all mind if I say a few words? Now the whole backyard went quiet. You could hear the ice melting in the glasses. I just want to say it's nice to be surrounded by family, I began. Especially the kind of family that thinks it's okay to steal from you and still ask for another plate of ribs. You should have seen their faces. Shayla's smile cracked like cheap plastic. Sly turned a color I didn't even know black folks could turn. And everyone else? Deer in headlights. See? I came here thinking maybe we'd grown, that we were past the petty stuff. But nah. Turns out some of y'all still playing behind-the-back games, using cards that ain't yours, making transfers like nobody notices. Caleb, Shayla started, we can talk about this. Nah, I cut her off. We already talked. With my money, with my trust, and with my silence. But I'm done talking. I didn't yell. I didn't throw a fit. I just laid the facts out like Sunday dinner. And then I turned around, walked right into the house, packed my bag, and left through the front door like I paid the mortgage. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. This is it. We're standing on the edge now. Everything you've seen, the betrayal, the lies, it all leads to what's coming. And what happens next? You don't want to miss that. I left that reunion house like a storm just passed through it. And in a way, one had. But the thing about storms? They don't just make noise. They clear the air. I was done letting folks smile in my face while reaching for my wallet, with the same hand they wave hello. I had one goal now, not revenge, not drama, but clarity. If folks want to play dirty, I'll show them how a grown man cleans house. First stop, my bank. I wasn't walking in like some confused customer. I had documents, screenshots, timestamps, and a face that said I wasn't in the mood for games. The lady at the counter tried to hit me with, "Sir, let's pull up your account." I interrupted, calm as a preacher on Sunday. I already pulled it. I'm here for the fraud report, and I need a copy of all the authorization signatures made in the past week. She blinked like I'd said something foreign, but I wasn't budging. Took maybe 15 minutes, and sure enough, the forms had my name. But the signature? Child. I could have laughed. Looked like a chicken danced across the paper. The fraud department got involved quick. Turns out, not only had Shayla used my card, she also linked it to her business account. That same Shellmart Holdings, LLC, I saw on the transaction log. Shellmart, huh? I guess in her world, stealing from your own brother counts as entrepreneurship. They froze the account. Good. But I wasn't satisfied. I called my lawyer. Now, I ain't the suing type. Never been. But something changes in you when people you've fed, driven to work, prayed for in their mess, turn around and rob you like you don't matter. I told him everything, and he said the words I didn't expect. You have a solid case. If you're ready for the heat, we'll press charges. I paused. See, part of me still believed, or maybe hoped, that she'd come clean, that she'd call crying, say she messed up, say she's sorry. But that call never came. All I got was a message from Sly. Let's talk. Talk? Now you want to talk? A few days later, I showed up at Shayla's office. Oh yeah, she had an office. A little boutique storefront downtown. Glass door, fancy chairs, plants that probably cost more than my truck. She saw me through the window and froze like I was the repo man. I walked in, cool as ice. Hey, sis, she stood up, fake smile loaded. Caleb, I was just gonna call you. Yeah? With what? Another bill on my card? Her smile vanished. Look, I didn't mean for it to go down like this. I raised my hand. Don't. Please. I don't need the "it's complicated" speech. She sat back down. You have no idea what I've been juggling, Caleb. The business, the family, the pressure. And that gave you the right to steal from me? I didn't steal. I was going to put it back. I just needed some time. Time? You had time to lie, to plan, to toast me like I was some kind of clueless donor. She looked away. Couldn't even face it. Then I dropped the folder on her desk, the one from my lawyer. You're gonna want to read this. Real carefully. She picked it up, hands shaking. I watched her face go pale as she realized this wasn't just a warning. This was a move. I wasn't bluffing. I was done being the family doormat. I'm pressing charges, I said, calm as ever. And before you start asking me to think about the family, ask yourself where all that concern was when you emptied my account for your little backyard circus. She didn't say a word, and honestly, that silence said everything. Over the next few weeks, everything shifted. Folks started calling me cousins, aunties, even Sly again. Come on, man, don't take it that far. She didn't mean harm. You know how family is. And I told every single one of them the same thing. Family don't do you like that. People do. And if you want to act like people, I'll treat you like people. They didn't like that. But guess what? I didn't care. I'd spent a lifetime trying to keep peace in a war nobody told me I was in. I moved my accounts, changed my locks, got myself into therapy too. Not because I was broken, but because I was done carrying silence like it was loyalty. Funny thing? The same folks who called me too soft, too quiet, and too nice started switching up. Folks started remembering that I was the one they called when the heat went out, the one who showed up when nobody else did, the one who paid, gave, stayed, and never asked for praise. Now, they saw me different. A few months later, Shayla called. I almost didn't answer, but something in me, not kindness but clarity, said, "Pick up." She sounded tired, like all the sparkle had drained out. I wanted to say, "I'm sorry," she whispered. I didn't say anything at first. I was wrong. I messed up. And if you never want to talk to me again, I understand. I took a deep breath. You're right. You were wrong. And forgiveness ain't free. It's earned. But I hear you. That was it. No big reunion. No fake hugs. Just truth. Because sometimes healing don't look like a movie. It looks like silence being replaced by strength. Looks like setting a boundary and holding it. Looks like knowing who you are and finally acting like it. And that, right there, was the moment everything changed. They tried to treat me like a nobody, like I didn't count. But I stood up. I spoke out. I took back my name, my money, and my dignity. So if you've ever been the one they overlooked, the one who gave and gave until you had nothing left, just know this: you are not invisible. You are not weak. And you do not owe anyone silence in exchange for their comfort. You stayed till the end, and now you know why this story had to be told. Because family might be blood, but respect is earned.